My name is Bharat Ram. I lead the product management team at HPE for private cloud, specifically a product called Private Cloud Business Edition, which is kind of a three-tier architecture and then we do a lot of day zero, day one automation around it. I also lead another product called HPE VM Essentials. Brad touched on it. We'll be going to a deeper dive on those products as well. With me, I also have Daniel Elder. So Daniel, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Bharat. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm a product manager on Bharat's team and work extensively on Private Cloud Business Edition, as well as VM Essentials. So thank you.
All right, so let's get in the meat of the conversation here. So weird, we are in 2025, the age of the AI, but we're still talking about virtualization, but that's the need of the market right now, right? So as we know, with the Broadcom acquisition of VMware, the industry has gone a big change. We see customers' costs skyrocketing. What we've seen is anywhere between 2 to 5x, and in fact, some customers at 15x, right, based on their deployment types and so forth, which has led to some interesting choice points. I mean, customers are looking to kind of go into other types of runtime environments. It could be bare metal, it could be virtualization, it could be containers, but also, with VMware itself, it's kind of a lock-in that has come up, right? What do we do? Our workloads are so ingrained into the virtualization stack. How do we migrate to a different platform? And then, it leads to uncertain strategy right now, right? Like, what is our future going forward with Broadcom, with things constantly changing as we progress? What I digged up recently was this interesting fact. Back in 2024, which is last year, there were only 65% of customers looking or evaluating their options, right? Now that has kind of jumped to 75%. And a lot of the customers who are taking a wait-and-see approach have now more actively looking at an alternative. Well, that's because they're either at the end of their term, subscription renewal term, or they have to kind of come up with a strategy because they only have a year or two left in their software stack term itself. Majority of the reason, of course, is cost, which is driving it. But of course, the other things around scalability, performance, and how to kind of get their workloads to a different environment, right? So I found this stat to be pretty interesting, which is what we're seeing in the market today.
Excuse me.
Yes.
But go back to that slide. The 75% are saying, and I don't mean to be a nitpicker here, but that number, you're taking that based on the decline of 35% in 24 to 25 of people, those saying they're taking a wait-and-see approach.
No, so this was based on a report from Gartner.
Right.
So these are two different questions that were asked to the customers. So in this one, the 75% is the customers who are looking at the evaluation, and then a subset of them were looking at, hey, instead of taking a wait-and-see approach, I'm going to kind of go and figure out what is the alternative option that we have right now.
Oh, okay.
So 24%. I mean, in 2024, 65% did not say they're taking a wait-and-see approach.
That's right.
But that increased to 75% who did not say they're taking a wait-and-see approach. That's where the numbers are. Right.
But that's what I think that's my point.
Kind of scale or something, but saying I'm looking, I'm definitely looking, I'm back.
That's right.
And one of the options was I'm going to wait and see.
Okay.
Number has gone down.
All right. As long as there was because you see where I'm going with this? Because that was vague. It could have been that they're just, okay, stop looking.
Down research.
Yeah. Thank you. You sound like you're good.
Well, there is a link to the Gartner thing too. If you guys want to take a look at it, there's more details there.
Thanks for clearing that up.
You're welcome.
So, which leads to our conversation today. HPE Morpheus VM Essentials software, right? So, as Brad mentioned, we bought Morpheus end of last year. And one of the gems hidden in their stack was this KVM alternative that they've used in their own environments, as well as some of the customers in their beta environments. So we felt that, it's a great opportunity for us to kind of bring Morpheus VM Essentials as a product with a lot of the enterprise functionality, right? Of course, KVM has been there in the industry for quite a long time. A lot of other vendors use KVM as a stack as well. But what's missing is the enterprise-grade features. It could be high availability, DRS, your storage integrations, your networking integrations, so forth, right? So what we've done in the last 10 to 12 months is kind of build on that and provide our customers with an alternative stack that they can start leveraging. Now, if you double-click on the stack itself, there's two different products that we sell at HPE. One is, of course, the virtualization product, which is called Morpheus VM Essentials, and then the big daddy, right? The big brother of VM Essentials, which is the Morpheus Enterprise. So again, depends on what the customer is looking for. So they have these two tiers that they could pick from, right? So if you look at the VM Essentials a bit, what we focus here is more so on the hypervisor and the tooling that allows them to manage the virtualization environment, right? We do the big differentiation that we provide here is that from a single pane of glass, which is the VME manager, you can manage both VMware infrastructure as well as your HVM, which is HPE VM clustering, right? Which is very, very important, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But kind of gives the customers a hybrid virtualization environmental management, right? Along with that, we also have other important tooling, things around your integration with your IPAM, your DNS, your backup, all those integrations comes as part of the base product itself, right? As I mentioned, I manage the Private Cloud Business Edition product portfolio too. So all of our platforms that comes with Private Cloud Business Edition also gets VM Essentials as a mandatory component of it, right? So customers get a choice point to deploy VM Essentials as a software runtime outside of what they're doing right
Cam,
Mhm.
So on this chart, there's a bunch of stuff that's faded out.
Yes.
Is that why?
Yeah. So why that is faded out is because when you kind of add an additional license, which is Morpheus Enterprise,
Okay.
you unlock a lot more functionality. So all the demo that Brad showed as the enterprise product gets unlocked, right? So the difference between the base package and then the enterprise is that you get a lot more functionalities around managing other private clouds, managing public clouds, doing automation around all of those, right? Integrating with ITSM tooling such as your ServiceNow, your BMC, and other things, right? So with the base HVM or VME package, you don't get that. It's more focused on the virtualization, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Brad touched on the Morpheus Enterprise as a whole, but I also want to highlight that we also have another product, private cloud product in our portfolio called Private Cloud Enterprise. So that uses the full-blown Morpheus Enterprise as its native tooling, right? Because it has stuff around bare metal provisioning. It can support any public cloud provisioning and management, right? So all that kind of comes into the Private Cloud Enterprise portfolio. So this is kind of how it plays into our holistic portfolio itself. Now, this slide actually I present because this allows a lot of our customers to understand how, when they're coming from a VMware perspective, how these two products fit into the modeling, right? So if you look at the top level enterprise product, that kind of fits the bill of more of a VCF plus ARIA automation, right? Which is what Morpheus Enterprise carries, right? In fact, Morpheus does more than VCF. There's a lot of gaps in terms of public cloud or being agnostic to managing other platform types, whereas Morpheus Enterprise does all those stuff, right? And if you look at the base layer with VM Essentials, you can compare that with standard vSphere Enterprise or VVF, along with the vCenter console that comes with it, right? So kind of an approximate equivalency of how these two platforms compare.
So if I'm a customer that just has vSphere Enterprise or Enterprise Plus, VM Essentials would be a replacement essentially.
That's correct.
So you're
So
positioning it.
yeah, so you would start with that if you just need a virtualization alternative. So the beauty here is you can start with just the base package, and all you have to do is a license upgrade, and then you can unlock the other features of Morpheus.
If ARIA Automation, vCenter, ESXi was built by one engineering team and one consistent, coherent code base and ran over the last 10 years together. That's what Morpheus has. We've just hidden a number of the features for a down market, more simplified use case, but you apply a new license and they actually stack on top of each other. All of a sudden your 2-bedroom condo got unlocked and you got a 5-bedroom house with a 3-car garage. So that's the way to think about it.
In a hot tub.
I had one on the essentials. One of the bold words that were sticking out to me was the identity management and SSO role-based access. Is that a tie-in to? I'm sorry, Nathan Nielsen from WWT. Is that a tie-in for to ClearPass, or is that its own identity solution for identity management?
you want to
So
take?
we integrate with any. So yeah, I'm going to stand on the X. I'm getting yelled at. Hi guys. So yeah, it ties into AD, Okta, any SSO, SAML provider. You map groups and roles, and then you're off and running.
So there isn't a ClearPass requirement, but it can utilize
Yeah.
ClearPass. Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Thank-
well, fall into whatever corporate identity provider companies have.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, the beauty here is that the RBAC capabilities that Morpheus already had applies here, right? So it's pretty extensive, and that's why we feel we're way ahead of the game in some of we're not starting from scratch in terms of virtualization environment. So a lot of those capabilities already apply here. Okay, so moving on, again, double clicking on some of the components here, right? Just to lay out the terminology and the branding and how this works out, because everybody's so used to VMware. So the top two layers is your products, right? So you have the enterprise software and then you have VM Essentials. But then the management interface is the same across both, right? Whether you choose to use the enterprise software or the VM Essentials, you will manage it through a VME manager, right? So, or the enterprise manager if you want to call it. But as Brad mentioned, it's the code base is the same. So the look and feel, everything would be the same. It's just that some of the options would be missing for the VM Essentials. When you unlock Morpheus, you'll unlock all the other stuff too, right? But in terms of cluster, the server host, just replace ESXi with HVM, and you would get the different components in it, right? So it's kind of how the stack plays out. So we talked about hardening. I'm not going to go through that more, but all of the stack components that we use in KVM or QEMU is pretty extensive. There's a lot more contribution in the open source community there. All of this is also backed by our Alletra storage MP block 10,000 array. We've had this disaggregated storage for quite some time right now. And we have an extensive plugin architecture into the storage, right from data store provisioning, your snapshotting, your management of the storage resources, all that could be managed as a plugin within your VME manager itself, right? The other beauty here is we've in fact validated all of HPE hardware. You could get any ProLiant servers, Gen 10 Plus, Gen 11, it's supported there. Your Alletra MP, of course, I mentioned about it. We also support third-party hardware. So the thing here is, when we launched VM Essentials, our intent was not just to be supported within HPE's ecosystem, but you can bring your own infrastructure and run this as a runtime on top, right? So let's say you have a Dell, I never thought I would say this in a million years, but let's say you have Pure Storage or NetApp Storage attached to your Dell servers, you can layer on VM Essentials on top and run that, right, as a runtime. So thereby, giving customers a protection for their hardware investment, because not all lifecycle refreshments of hardware and software are aligned in many companies. So this gives them the flexibility to kind of run with existing infrastructure. We're also working extensively with backup vendors. We recently announced the partnership with Veeam and what we're doing there. So early next year, we soon going to have a full-blown GA of Veeam backup and recovery with the VMs that we provision. So at the time of provisioning, you can protect them, get all the policies shown up, provisioning the protection policy showing up in VME Manager. So that's a great integration. We already have Commvault that was recently announced, so that's already available. And of course, Cohesity is something we're working on. The beauty here is because Morpheus already integrated with a lot of these vendors prior for VMware. So that policy is already available through VME Manager, right? So let's say if you're managing a VMware infrastructure, all these backup provisioning policies is already available.
Just to be clear, you said Cohesity is something you're working on, not yet available.
Yes. So Cohesity is something we're working on for the VME-based VMs. Okay. So it's not yet available, but it is available for VMware-based VMs that could also be managed through VME.
Got it.
Rubrik is a name that's conspicuously missing and very popular in the industry. Is it somewhere on the roadmap?
Yes, definitely. The Rubrik is close fourth here in this list, but yes, we're actively in discussions with them. That's why it doesn't show up here, but yes, we are actively working with them as well.
We have agent-based backup for anybody, right? That's the easy part. But doing, full image-based backup is where they're having to integrate into the KVM stack itself. So those are the ones coming kind of next level.
That's right. Actually, that's a good point because Veeam already carries agent-based backup. If you really want to do that, you can do that. But if you have a lot of VMs, it's difficult to manage. So all these are image-based backup solutions.
Management between VMware and VM Essentials. One of the things I'm not seeing on here is some sort of migration service to get off of
Yes.
a VMware platform.
Yeah.
Is that something that's forthcoming in the solution?
No, it's we already have it. We're going to show a demo of that today.
Okay,
So if you can hold on to your question, we'll carry that. Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, so I talked about managing both the solutions together, right? So as you can see at the hypervisor level, you can have both vSphere and the HVM hypervisor and manage it from a single pane of glass through VME Manager, right? And all the other capabilities we talked about, IPAM, your provisioning, your management, all carries to that, right? So it's omnipresent there. The other thing here is the underlying storage. For example, if you're using a B10K, you can have two different clusters, right? One running HVM, one running the vSphere, stacked on top of the same storage. So you can provision LUNs and volumes and manage it through the same console because we have plugins for both of those hypervisor clusters, right? And your VME Manager will have an API call talking back to vCenter. So once the only reason you would have to go back to a vCenter is to set up the advanced policies, right? It could be DRS or HA. But once you do that, your provisioning and management can all be done through your VM Essentials manager, right? So it kind of gives you a one-stop shop to manage your entire infrastructure. I talked about the validated hardware. We also work extensively with a lot of ISVs. One of the key benefits of staying on VMware is their extensive integrations with, you name the software vendor, they have integrations with them, right? HPE with this ecosystem, we have a complete HPE complete service that, in fact, we partner with pretty different vendors in the ISV space. So we are actively working as we speak on that, going with them. All right, so I talked about a couple of things with how we integrate this private cloud. So as you can see, we support two different platforms with private cloud. On the left is what we call as a disaggregated HCI, where it's a three-tier architecture. You can scale compute and storage independently. So that's one platform that VME integrates today. On the right is SimpliVity, right? We acquired SimpliVity probably 7-8 years ago. It provides you with a hyper-converged infrastructure. So for customers who wants a smaller profile, low-cost platform, SimpliVity is your choice point too, right? So VM Essentials is supported with both these platforms. I mean, of course, customers can prefer to even install VMware. So they support both of those runtimes today. Just double-clicking on the DHCI stack itself. The beauty here is the day zero, day one operations are on setup. Your firmware, software of your hardware, all the components in the stack is automated, right? We ship a lot of these software from the factory. So it's a very turnkey type of deployment. And also for day two operations for LCM, right? Lifecycle management. There is a software catalog that we provide where we pre-test and pre-validate a lot of these software and firmware components so that the guesswork is taken out of the customer, right? This is very more important for VME because there's not a lot of subject matter expertise on KVM or Linux administration in the field. So what we've done is we've packaged this as one. So you don't have to worry about upgrading your kernel or upgrading your KVM. We validate and put that as a software component, and then we would do it as a one-click update, right? So you don't have to manage the hypervisor stack itself. All right, so the next platform, of course, is SimpliVity. One thing I want to highlight on SimpliVity is, the big IP around SimpliVity is this dedupe and compression, right? It's used for retail and other type of deployments, for edge deployments. The way that, the native dedupe and compression and the data efficiency that SimpliVity has is it's second to none, right? I don't think there's any platform in the market that can do that. It also, in a two-node architecture, because of the RAID and RAIN architecture that it has resiliency and high availability built into it. So again, for customers looking for a fast deployment of a two-node architecture, this could be another platform type that you can manage. So I'll extend the slide, but this kind of walks over how VME and Morpheus plays into the entire private cloud portfolio, which we touched on. So I'm not going to beleaguer the point here. So with that, I want to hand it over to Daniel just to talk about different features, and we'll talk about the migration capability as well, and probably show a demo of that.
Yeah, thanks, Bharath. So just kind of at a high level, what we bring as part of Morpheus VM Essentials software. And again, just to kind of hit on that point, this is a subset of the features that are within Morpheus Enterprise. So, all of these capabilities are there within Morpheus Enterprise as well. But in the basic level VM Essentials software, we have that multi-hypervisor support, giving the ability to deploy and manage both HPE's own HVM hypervisor, as well as integrating with your existing VMware environment so you can manage virtual workloads on both of those at the same time. It does contain kind of a subset of the provisioning automation capabilities that Morpheus Enterprise things that we have in there are, VMHA dynamic workload schedulers. So, that protected at the cluster level. So if a host goes down, VMs will automatically power up on another host if you're using shared storage. The dynamic workload scheduler will balance placement within a cluster. We have affinity and anti-affinity rules in there. That's kind of a relatively recent addition. The ability, if you need VMs you want to stay grouped together or kept apart, you can put them in one of those.
Okay, go back to my question on the black versus the green. What does that mean?
Our newer features is
Yeah, so
multi-migration.
Daniel, sorry, there's a question here. So this is more to highlight some of the key capabilities, right? It's all these features available as part of VM Essentials. So what Daniel is going to showcase is some of the green elements as a demo, just to give you more perspective on that. So Daniel, why don't we move to your demo? Let's showcase the migration capability.
Excellent. So after the Morpheus Enterprise demo, this interface should look very familiar. The UI is the same UI, just kind of like I said, a subset of features. So kind of at the top level, the things I want to touch on really quickly. So if we go into provisioning, we can see our virtual machines. And in the case of, let's say, this virtual machine, we can go in and we can manage where this VM is running. So we can go in and do manage placement. This is also where that dynamic resource scheduler is built in. So, I can initiate a host migration from here, have it migrate between hosts. If it's powered on, it's a live migration. There's no downtime there. And then by default, we have these placement strategies. So if auto placement is there, it'll try to balance the workload from a memory and vCPU perspective across the cluster. Failover will keep it on whatever host it's on unless the host encounters a failure, in which case it'll bring up on another host. Or it will do pinned, in which case it will keep it on that host no matter what. Host goes down, it won't bring it up. Maybe you have a VM that you want to keep in one place, then that would be what you would leverage there.
So I think this is implying the answer to my question, but is it initial placement or ongoing where the VM will be located, or both? Meaning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is both. When you create the VM, you can just leave the default auto placement, in which case it'll decide where we want it to go, or you can choose an individual host of, if you have a specific host you want it to be on. So you have options either way of when you deploy it. One of the other pieces we have here, so if we go into our cluster here, this is my HVM cluster. And we go in under resources, and this is relatively new. This is, our affinity group feature that we added, I think, in the release before last. And if we go, add, you can specify, whether you keep them separated or together. This is going to be an area where we're going to have some enhancements coming as well. But in this case, I'm going to say, okay, that VM and this VM and this VM, I want all of these to be separated. And I've got a 3-node cluster. So what it will do is it will attempt, if I apply those VMs and save those changes, it will try to keep those VMs separated across, no matter what. Now, availability in HA is always going to be the preference. So if it can't, for some reason it can't keep them separated, it will still ensure that your VMs are up and running.
So Daniel, if I can interject, if we can just focus on the VM migration. I think we're running out of time, so I just want to focus on that because that's an important element.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, a relatively recent addition. This came in the 8.08 release. So I've connected this environment to my vSphere environment as well as managing my HVM cluster. And creating a migration plan is relatively straightforward. So we choose, what VMware cluster we're pulling it from, what VM Essentials cluster we want it to go to, and then we go and we choose whatever VMs that we have that we want to pull in. These are all in my VMware environment. Once I have those selected, I choose a target for whatever VMware networks they are on to whatever networks on the VM Essentials side, as well as whatever data stores. So if those VMs have multiple VM NICs and multiple VMDKs spread across multiple data stores, I can specify different destinations for all those as well. And then here you'd specify, like what your admin password would be, because one of the things that we'll try to do is it'll try to install the Morpheus guest agent, which will enable, the manager to have direct access to initiate, things like scripts and monitor and get logs and everything. So once that is done, the job is ready to go. And it will go through and do this. Now there are some prerequisites, some things you need to do currently. You need to do some like virt.io driver installation. We do have all that documented and covered pretty thoroughly. So that is another area that we're going to be enhancing.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. To go one step deeper on the tech side of it, are you doing some sort of conversion of the disk, or are you changing it from VMDK to QEMU?
QCOW.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are. So basically what we do is once you initiate that migration plan, what that'll do is initiates the export on the VMware side. While that file is being copied over to us, we go through the process of actually doing the conversion while that is streaming. So you don't have to use double the disk space, but we do convert it from a VMDK format to the QCOW2 disk format.
And I may have missed it. Is this capability something that was built into Morpheus, or is it using Zerto, which is a very popular migration tool, or something homegrown?
This is built into the Morpheus UI. This is a part of the tool that's just part of the product that's built in. So whether you have VM Essentials or Morpheus Enterprise, that migrations tool is there. It does not leverage Zerto. It is its own separate tool.
Yeah, I mean the migration is also offline, so it's not an online migration. I just want to highlight that. Yeah.
Sort of on that note, does this also tie into GreenLake, or is this just completely separate?
So it ties into GreenLake with the fact that how you deploy it. Let's say you deploy it as part of the private cloud products. It's all onboard into GreenLake, and that's how it ties it. But the majority of the management that you see here is on-prem.
Okay.
It's more like the vCenter, so it runs on-prem. Yeah.
Got it. And what about from like
the local UI?
For like a telemetry perspective and stuff, those are stuff that is being fed into.
Yeah, so Morpheus itself has a lot of telemetry that we get. So a lot of those API calls are taken into the product, and then we showcase into GreenLake products. Yeah, there's dashboards, there's different tiles for private cloud, business edition, or SimpliVity. So we show those telemetry there.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up here because we have another topic to go forward. But I think this gives you a taste of what we are building and where we're going with this product. So thanks for your